I know you had mentioned before in our previous conversation that you kind of try to direct people to working on the right spaces, because a lot of times people, I think, have a tendency to fixate and focus on a space that may not be very functional and pour a lot of money into those spaces that they don't necessarily come into contact with. How many times have we been to a place and there's a huge formal living room and nobody ever sits in it, nobody ever goes in that room, and everything's dusty, but you know that most people have spent the majority of their decorating budget on that one room. You, on the other hand, have a philosophy that is to bring comfort to the spaces that we use all the time. And
even if not comfort, this is just a silly little hallway character, right? Because this is off the master bedroom between my clients' the epicenter of their private life and their children's bedrooms. And they walk this 1,000 times, and it's just a silly little hallway to nowhere. But it needed to have a soul, otherwise things are empty. And they tend to collect other unfortunate pieces of furniture. Somebody will throw something in there. And I think it's very important to really work your budget out across a house and save room and space for design elements that make the experience of being in the house wholer. And this little bench we found in the beginning of the project, because it's like we need something there. But after the books had been closed on this job and we were finished, for a good 2 or 3 years, I was at a sort of affordable art fair in the Piers in New York, and I saw this cow painting. And I have lived with my heart and my head wrapped around this client's house for so long. I still know where the bald spots are, and the house is never finished. And until it fills up with pieces from either their life or whatever. But I remember thinking, God, this belongs over the bench in the forgotten hallway. And I take a picture now with my digital camera or my BlackBerry and send it to them. And it also keeps jobs going. I mean, in hard economic times, it's nice to have that sort of connection to your clients. They know you still care. They know you still exist. And if you can send them an idea or something, just occasionally, I'm not even putting a markup on this. I just said, call this art dealer if you like this. Made me think of you. And I was very excited that they did, in fact, follow through and buy it. And worked out for me, because when I went back to the house years later, and there it is, and I get to use the shot in my book and tell you all about it. But it's a great way to stay in touch with your clients and remind them that you still exist, and they always have evolving needs, so it will keep the jobs alive.
This is a great look, and came from a very interesting place. You said, where we all find inspiration in other work that relates to ours, for example. I can't tell you how many times we sit around and we look at other magazines to get inspiration for our own. You got the inspiration for this from a magazine as well.
Yeah, I don't even think we're safe to call it inspiration. I think it was directly stolen.
So it's okay if you have to steal or interpret occasionally.
Yeah, totally stole it. I speak to my clients through pictures. I ask them to tear through design magazines and show me what they loved, what they liked, and we end up replicating some elements of it. Some things exactly, because if it presents a solution to a problem they have in a manner that they appreciate. And here, this bed was on the cover of Elle Décor, and it was a different fabric and different color, different room, but this was another bedroom where we didn't have very much room, and we couldn't do a large bed or footboard or headboard. And it also had these big sliding glass doors that gave it kind of a track house 70s feel. And we had to reference that, but reference it and make it pretty. So right from the cover of Elle Décor to their house in Center Island went the molding, the battened headboard, and I think that designers need to credit each other more and call or send an email saying, by the way, loved your bed so much, here's my bed, your bed.
Here's my bed is yours.
Exactly. And really, I think that it's a place where we need to thank our trade publications for putting all these images out there, because without without it, it's really difficult to even explain to my clients what I intend to do unless I can show them a picture or they can ask me for something based upon what they want.
This was, again, one of the transitional spaces, correct? This is a mudroom?
Right, well, this was a client who had a formal entry, and then they had the garage that, you know, they park in every day and then walk through this passageway right up some stairs in the back into their kitchen. And I had to fight them tooth and nail to treat the space like it was their house, not just a run-through. And in doing that, it made their house a lot larger because it wasn't a cordoned off space. It was now part of the veins and the arteries. And we used reproduction furniture. You know, everything in here was meant to look old, but it was about, 12 weeks old by the time it arrived. We copied an old Swedish daybed, but made it to the scale we wanted. And I also encouraged them, to let things go. Some clients are so, you look at the holes on the rug in front of this, it shows the traffic. And, some clients call and panic saying, my rug is falling apart, my rug is falling apart. And I'm like, it's a seagrass rug, and you use muddy boots through it. It's a mud room. Unless people are tripping, love it. That's your house. That's growth. We'll replace it in time, but don't think that the first rip, break, scratch, bruise on your furniture is a disaster. Wait till you have 50 more on the same piece of furniture, and then it looks loved. There is a difference between dirt and mess and wear and tear and patina, but I really tried to remind my clients that that's what makes a house loved. Anyway, this is the same. These pictures actually should be side by side. I don't know if we can. It's the same stairwell coming down. So you sort of turn the corner, and it also shows I try to make a destination. If you're going to run into a wall, if it's an obstacle, if it's an end point, at least turn it in. Nobody sits there, but still, if you can turn an end point into a place that looks welcoming, the whole house feels welcoming.
Now this is interesting because this is very, very different than your previous photos, and the style is tremendously different. And so how do you this is the age-old question for designers, how do you work with people that you encounter that don't necessarily have the same taste or that work within the palette that you're accustomed?
Well, I'm so grateful when I have a client who wants something that I don't really know how to do, because it lets me expand my portfolio. And you don't know about something instantly. It's not like you actually learn the stuff in design school and retain it. The only way you're ever going to be able to learn is to learn by doing. So I'm honest with my clients, and I say, oh, you like period furniture, and I don't even know what fabrics they used then, but we're all capable of using a reference library. And if you can gain the trust of your clients by telling them up front that, one, it's your profession to figure these things out and execute them, and two, it's your excitement, and this is what makes your job fun, I think you'll earn their respect and trust, and you'll develop a much more varied portfolio. Personally, this is the last kind of thing I would ever do on my own. I don't live very formally, and it's not what I'm known for, but it was an exciting project to work with them, and it helps me remember that it's my job to create spaces for other people, not to keep finding people who like what I already did, because your work gets boring fast. It's to sort of find a dynamic energy between new clients and new styles, because then you get to be much more creative later when somebody says, what do you like? And you have a lot more to synthesize.